Thank you so much for that warm-up. Everybody in the mood now. Thank you all for coming out. As Roger noted, it is a snowy second day of spring. This is our kickoff event for Rally Reach 2015. Many of you came and enjoyed our events last year, so we're doing it again. This year, our book is In the Heart of the Sea, The Tragedy of the Whale Ship Essex by Daniel Philbrick. It recounts the shipwreck that formed the basis of Moby Dick. It was a true event. It happened in 1820, I think. A whale actually rammed the ship and it broke, and the crew was stranded on their lifeboats in the ocean for a while. So it's a better story than that. It's actually really interesting. He talks about the whole culture of whaling, and these men were away at sea for 3 or 4 years at a time, and the women were back on Nantucket. And so it's an interesting read. We have a bunch of events coming up. Roger's going to do sea shanties for us today, among other things. We have an author, Eric J. Nolan, is the author of Leviathan, A History of Whaling in America. He will be here next Tuesday. We're going to watch the Gregory Peck, John Huston version of Moby Dick on Thursday.
Oh, that's great.
A week from today, next Saturday, we're going to have the Blue Ocean Society for Marine Conservation here. They're going to talk about the research they do in the Gulf of Maine on whales, and they have an inflatable life-size fin whale that we're going to blow up, and we're actually all going to go inside the whale and learn about all the stuff that's inside.
That sounds fun.
It's going to be really fun. And then we'll have public book discussions about the book. Our local author and friend Holly Robinson will be relieving those. One's here, one's at the Senior Center. And these flyers are all about these events, so don't feel like you have to remember it now. Come up at the end and get a flyer. There are 3 raffles. I think I caught everybody on the way in for raffle ticket. We have door prizes today. We have a grand prize at the end of Rally Reads, and that's going to be on Whale Watch for 4 when it gets to be that season. It's not in season yet. And then, if you saw on the way in, because we're having, one of our guest speakers is the master boat builder and executive director at Lowell's Boat Shop, which is the oldest continually operating boat shop in America up in Amesbury. Ed Desjardins, who used to live in Raleigh and who was an architect and artist, heard about that and donated a drawing that he made of Lowell's Boat Shop. So we're raffling that off as well. And that one actually you have to pay for your tickets for. It's a fundraiser for the Friends. The other ones are free. So if you want to take a look at the drawing, it's over by the circulation desk, and those tickets are for sale. I think that's all my propaganda for now. So Roger Tinknell, who is a Parents' Choice Award-winning artist, he does entertaining and educational performances for all ages, and we have a wide representation here today. He specializes mostly in folk tunes, right? Different
yeah, that's true.
Historical themes and cultures.
Different themes, yeah, exactly.
So we're very excited to have him. Learn some sea.
And it's exciting to be here. Thank you for that nice introduction. Thank you.
Before I sing, since we're talking about these wonderful books that tell us history of whaling and other sea traditions from the Northeast, I'm going to read a little quote here from Herman Melville from his book Redburn, because it talks a little bit about what we're doing today, if you don't mind. Back in 1849, he wrote this. This was a few years ago. I soon got used to this singing, for the sailors never touched a rope without it. Sometimes when no one happened to strike it up and the pulling, whatever it might be, it did not seem to be getting forward very well. The mate would always say, "Come on, man, can't you sing? Sing now and raise the dead." And then some of them would begin, and if every man's arms were as much relieved as mine by the song, and he could pull as much better as he did, with such a cheering accompaniment, I'm sure the song was well worth the breath expended on it. It's a great thing in a sailor to know how to sing well, for he gets a great name by it from the officers and a good deal of popularity among his shipmates. Some sea captains, before shipping a man, always ask him, before he gets hired, whether he can sing out a rope. Sing out a rope. That's what it's called. When you sing a song while you're raising the rope, or while you're curling up a rope, or while you're hauling the anchor or pulling up the heavy sails, it's called singing out a rope. And we're going to be singing out the ropes today. And I jokingly said this, and folks came in early, that if you want to turn it into an aerobics class, you could. Somebody was saying they wanted more exercise. Because when we sing a lot of the shanties, which are work songs, some of them are work songs. There's different types of shanties. Some for long hauls, some for short hauls, some for long, drawn-out hauls, like when you're curling a rope at the end of the day after you pulled the sails down. Songs like Shenandoah, which people don't think of as a sea shanty. So there's all kinds of shanties. And then there's the forecastle songs that you sing when you're not working, you're down below or on shore, just singing with your mates. So we're going to be mixing them all up today. And I'll try not to talk too much. I've already talked a lot. So we're going to start singing with a song that's right here from Massachusetts. It's called Blow You Winds in the Morning. It's an old whaling song. And your part will be easy. You'll come in with me if you feel like singing. Tells a little story. It's a bit of a ballad, actually. All right. Tis advertised in Boston, New York, and Buffalo. 500 merry, brave Americans a whaling for to go. Singing, blow ye winds in the morning. I'll slow it down a little bit. Blow ye winds in the morning and blow ye winds hi-ho. Clear away your running gear and blow, boys, blow. So this is one of those forecastle songs. We're not hauling any sails yet. We're just singing. Okay? So if you want to try that with me, it'll come around again. Well, they take you to New Bedford, that famous whaling port, and hand you to some land sharks to board and fit you out, singing, blow ye winds in the morning and blow you winds hi-ho. Clear away your running gear and blow, boys, blow. Well, they'll tell you of those clipper ships all going in and out, and say you'll take 500 sperm before the 6 months out. And it's now or out to sea, me boys, the wind comes on to blow. When half the watch is sick on deck and the others down below, saying, blow you winds in the morning and blow you winds hi-ho. Clear away your running gear and blow, boys, blow. Oh, as for the provisions, well, we don't get half enough. A little piece of stinking beef and a bland small bag of duff. Next comes a running rigging, which you're all supposed to know. Lay aloft, you son of a gun, or overboard you go. Singing, blow you winds in the morning, blow you winds hi-ho. Clear away your running gear and blow, boys, blow. Well, the skipper's on the quarterdeck, squinting at the sails. When up aloft to look outside, he sees a school of whales singing, blow you winds in the morning, blow you winds hi-ho. Clear away your running gear and blow, boy, blow. Now clear away the boats, my boys, and after him you'll travel. And if you get too near his fluke, he'll kick you to the devil. Now we've got him turned all up, we'll tow him up alongside. We'll over with our blubber hooks and rob him of his hide, singing, blow you winds in the morning, blow you winds hi-ho. Clear away your running gear and blow, boys, blow. Well, next comes the stowing down, me boys. We'll take both night and day, and you'll have 50 cents apiece on the 190th day. Oh, blow you winds in the morning, blow you winds hi-ho. Clear away your running gear and blow, boys, blow. And when we get home, our ship is fast, we keep there, sailing in the winding glass, we'll pass around with beer. Oh, blow you winds in the morning, blow you winds hi-ho. Clear the way your running gear and blow. One more time, oh, blow you winds in the morning, blow you winds hi-ho. Clear away that running gear and blow, boys, blow. Hey, singing out there, mates. Oh. Well, you know, whaling was a very peculiar occupation, and it was a big part of the early Yankee economy, because we used the whale oil for putting in the lamps before we had electricity. Whale oil was a big, valuable commodity. They used every part of the whale. Now, today, of course, we think, oh, killing of whales, it's a horrible thing. There's very few whales killed anywhere in the world. And it's a good thing because they became almost extinct, especially the giant sperm whales. Those are very valuable. And fortunately, we have other sources of energy and food. But the whale blubber, that fat would burn for a long time, that whale oil. And, you know, here in New England, a lot of the songs, a lot of these shanties, came right here from Cape Cod, right down the road from us, like this one. Now, what peculiar thing about some of these shanties, the early America, the Yankees as we call them, which many of us are, the Yankees stole some of the melodies from the English back at the Revolutionary War days of some of the shanties, and they changed the words. So this song was originally called Bound for South Australia, and the Yankee whalemen, well, they changed the words, said Bound for South America, and they changed the title to Cape Cod Girls. You may have heard it. This does require a bit of singing from the audience, however. And I'm not going to use a microphone. I'm just going to be the shanty man who stands up on the box or something. And we're going to have half the audience over here hauling one sail that weighs over a ton. A ton is basically more than your parents' car weighs. So it's a lot of weight. That means everybody has to work together. And that's what shanties are for. Shanties, the ones when you work, are work songs of the sea. You know, I've been working on the railroad. That's a work song of the railroad, right? Well, we got sea shanties today. That's this one that we're going to do right now, called Cape Cod Girls. Requires everybody to help us haul the sails. So here's what we're going to do. Everybody on this side of the room, just to warm up a little bit. By the way, if those of you who just came in, she does have some food out there for you. But you can't have any unless you sing. I'm just kidding about that. I was joking, saying if people get up and dance and sing later, they might get their money back. But you didn't. Luckily, you can get it in for free. So maybe the library will pay you to sing. Who knows? But here's what you do. Everybody on this side, you grab your rope. You got your rope over here? Okay, so when I point to you folks on this side, especially you kids down here, I'm going to go like this. Heave away. You're going to go like that. Heave away. Try with me. Heave away. That's perfect. Now the folks in the back are not off the hook just because the kids are singing. Now this side's a much smaller group. You're going to have to sing that much louder. Your part goes like this. Haul away. Try that one. Haul away. And then later on, we're all going to say, bound for South America. And that'll keep us everybody working together to get those sails out, okay? Bound for South America. All right. So I'm going to sing the verses, and then when we get to that chorus, meanwhile, we'll all be pulling. So the whole song. Are you ready? Here's how you pull. You could go like that, right? That's the traditional way of really pulling a rope, as you sailors out there know. But we're going to pull it for the sake of the song, and we'll do this on the other shanties. We'll put our hands together and just pull like that. It'll be easier for you to keep the beat. Okay, here we go. Let's pull. Oh, Cape Cod girls ain't got no combs. Heave away, haul away. Comes around pretty quick, right? Heave away, haul away. They comb their hair with codfish bones. Bound for South America. Cape Cod boys ain't got no sleds. Heave away, haul away, slide down hills on codfish heads. Bound for South America. Heave away, me bully bully boys. Heave away, haul away, heave away, and don't you make a noise. We're bound for South America. Cape Cod cats ain't got no tails. Heave away, haul away, lost them in them southeast scales. Bound for South America. Cape Cod doctors ain't got no pills. Heave away, haul away. Nice singing over there for such a small group. They're doing much better than you folks. You better belt it out next time. Keep going. They ain't got no tails because they have, did I do that? Please start that over. I'm losing that verse now. Cape Cod cats ain't got no tails. Heave away, haul away, lost them in them southeast scales. Bound for South America. Oh, and Cape Cod doctors ain't got no pills. Heave away, haul away. They feed their patients codfish gills. Bound for South America. Heave away, me bully bully girls. Heave away, haul away. Heave away, and don't you lose your curls. We're bound for South America. Cape Cod mothers don't bake no pies. Heave away, haul away. They feed their children codfish eyes. Bound for South America. Heave away, me bully bully boys. Heave away, haul away. Heave away, and don't you make a noise. We're bound for South America. One more time. Heave away, me bully bully boys. Heave away, haul away. Heave away, and don't you make a noise. We're bound for South America. Oh my goodness. Well, you know, now that you've worked hard, we're going to have to sit back and just do one of those forecastle songs. That's what you need to do after you've worked hard, is sit back and relax and sing one of the ballads, like the sailors did in this one. This has a lot of names. It's an old English one. Sometimes it was called Sir Walter Raleigh, Sailing in the Lowlands. It's known today as the Golden Vanity. And sometimes people don't even call it a sea shanty because it's more of a ballad, but it was sung by the sailors. And technically speaking, if those of you are wondering about different parts of the ship, does anybody know what a capstan is? Capstan is when you're wrapped. This gentleman does. He probably worked on those sailing ships many years ago, right? Capstan is when you wrap the rope around sometimes, the metal. They originally were made out of wood, the modern ones are made out of metal. You wrap the rope around them. And sometimes they sang this as a capstan shanty because it's a slow one. But typically it was more of a forecastle song. You know, I might do this just because it would be more appropriate. We'll sing it with a banjo. It's kind of a banjo song. Well, the banjo is an American instrument, but it became popular in England and in many other places. And it was the early Scots-Irish settlers, mostly, that created the banjo as we see it today. And the English, too. I'll give them a little credit. Something the Scots and Irish have in common is their love for the English song. But I make jokes about banjos because they can be pretty loud. For example, one of the jokes is what's the difference between a banjo and an onion? Anybody know? Well, look at you. Nobody cries when you cut up a banjo. Although I might. There was a ship that sailed on the lowland sea. There was a lofty ship that sailed on the lowland sea, and the name of that ship was the Golden Vanity. She feared she would be taken by the Spanish enemy as she sailed on the lowland, lowland, low, as she sailed upon the lowland sea. Now up spoke the captain boy, and boldly out spoke he, and he said to the captain, what will you give to me if I swim alongside of the Spanish enemy, and I sink her in the lowland, lowland, low, if I sink her in the lowland sea. This was a brave young lad. He said to the captain, what will you give me if I go overboard and I drill a hole in the side of that Spanish ship, will sink the ship? This song goes all the way back when the English and the Spanish were at war. Well, I will give you silver, and I will give you gold, and my own fair daughter's hand your bonny bride will be, if you swim along the side of the Spanish enemy, and you sink her in the lowland, lowland, low, if you sink her in the lowland sea. Well, the boy he made ready, and overboard sprang he, and he swam to the side of the Spanish enemy. With his brace and auger in his hand, he bored 3 holes, 3 hole 3. Everybody take your drills and drill 3 holes in the side of the boat. This is what the drills look like. That's a big thing. You put the drill up against the boat, you have a big giant drill on it, and you turn this thing. If you drill 3 holes in the bottom, in the side of the boat, what's going to happen?
It's going to sink.
Yeah, it's going to sink. You're right. Oh, and he sank her in the lowland sea, lowland sea, and he sank her in the lowland sea. But then quickly he swam back to the cheering of the crew, but the captain would not heed him, his promise he did rue, and he scored his quarter 3 things, which loudly he did sue, and he left him in the lowland, lowland sea, and he left him in the lowland sea. Not a very nice captain. He wouldn't give the boy the things he promised. Well, quickly, the boy, he turned around and swam to the other side, the port side, and up to his messmates. Fully bitterly he cried, oh, messmates, draw me up, for I'm drifting with the tide, and I'm sinking in the lowlands, lowland sea. I'm sinking in the lowland sea. Oh, then his messmates threw him up, but on the deck he died. They stitched him in a hammock, which was so fair and wide. They lowered him overboard, and he drifted with the tide, and he sank into the lowland, lowland low. He sank into the lowland sea, and he sank into the lowland sea. Hey! Well, I think it's time to go and do something a little bit different. I think we're going to, I've got an idea. We will sing a really rowdy shanty. You ready for a rowdy one? You know what rowdy means? You go like this. We'll roll. Sometimes they would call their big ships chariots. You know what a chariot is? Usually has wheels. Well, these don't have wheels, right? But they roll the chariot along. And this is called a walk-away, with what's called a runaway chorus. You stamp and go shanty. It means you pull really hard and you sing it loud because you're you're using it to pull ropes really fast. Maybe you have to get the anchor up fast because the wind is coming. Or maybe you have to pull the sail, let the sails down really fast because the wind is too much and you got to let the sails down. So it's one of those quick shanties. It goes like this. We'll roll the old chariot along, we'll roll the old chariot along, we'll roll the old chariot along, and we'll all hang on behind. So if you feel like singing, that's going to be your chorus. Some folks say this goes back to as an African-American work song, but nobody knows for sure. But it was a favorite shanty. Actually, I have a little note here. It says that the Salvation Army sang it back in the 1900s as well. Isn't that interesting? But you never know where these songs are going to be sung. So you ready? Here we go. We'll roll the old chariot along, we'll roll the old chariot along, we'll roll the old chariot along, and we'll all hang on behind. Oh, a little drop of Nelson's blood wouldn't do us any harm. A little drop of Nelson's blood wouldn't do us any harm. Oh, a drop of Nelson's blood wouldn't do us any harm. And we'll all roll on behind. Oh, and a plate of Irish stew wouldn't do us any harm. No, a plate of Irish stew wouldn't do us any harm. Oh, a plate of Irish stew wouldn't do us any harm. And we'll all roll on behind. Oh, roll the old chariot. Roll the old chariot along. We'll roll the old chariot along, we'll roll the old chariot along, and we'll all hang on behind. One last time, we'll roll the old chariot along, we'll roll the old chariot along, we'll roll the old chariot along, and we'll all roll on behind. There we go. That's a short version of that because it's a short shanty. And we did what we needed to do. Now, are you folks ready to go up to Greenland? The whalermen had to go all the way up into the cold north. And today, fishermen still do the same thing. Way up there in Georges Banks, which is not quite as far as Greenland by any means, but it's cold. Up in Nova Scotia, and they go up to Greenland. And Greenland is a funny place. It's supposed to be quite beautiful, but it's not green. Iceland is more green than Greenland. This is called the Greenland whale fisheries. It was in 1853, on June the 13th day, that our gallant ship made her anchor weigh, and for Greenland sailed away, brave boys, and for Greenland sailed away. Oh, the lookout in the cross street stood, spyglass in his hand. There's a whale, there's a whale, there's a whale, he cried. She blows at every span, brave boys, and she blows at every span. You're welcome to clap along if you don't know the word. We'll do it a little faster, we'll pick it up here. It's a big story, it's a ballad. Well, we struck that whale, the line played up, but she gave such a flourish with her tail, woo! And the boat capsized, and 4 men were drowned. We never caught that whale, brave boys. Never caught that whale. Oh, to lose a whale, the captain, he said, it grieves my heart full sore. But to lose 4 of my gallant men, it grieves me 10 times more, brave boys. It grieves me 10 times more. Well, the winter star does now appear. Oh, boys, we'll anchor's weigh. And it's time to leave this cold country, and homeward bound are we, brave boys, and homeward bound are we. Oh, Greenland is a dreadful place, a land that's never green, where there's ice and snow, and the whale fishes blow, and the daylight seldom seen, brave boys, the daylight seldom seen. Oh, we struck that whale, oh, the line was played out, but she gave such a flourish with her tail. And the boat capsized, and 4 men were drowned. We never caught that whale, brave boys. We never caught that whale. Greenland whale fisheries. Back in 1725, that song is from. So I have a question for the kids. Somebody in this song said, whale fish. Are whales fish?
No.
What are whales?
Mammals.
Mammals. They breathe air like us, yes. They do. They breathe air like we do. And they are a very smart animal. They're also the biggest animal in the sea, right? They're bigger than those sharks. And the other thing about this happened when sailors were thrown overboard, it happened a lot during this whaling days because those whales would put up quite a big fight, as you can imagine. And they had these big long tails in that boat, when sometimes either the boat would get tipped over or people would get knocked by the giant tail and swept overboard. And the funniest thing is, a lot of sailors didn't swim. How many people here know how to swim? You guys all take swimming lessons? You guys have? Yeah? Yeah, it helps to be able to swim. So if you're ever going to go whaling or any other, if you're ever going on a boat, I don't think you're going to do any whaling, but if you're ever on a boat, it's always helpful to be swimming. They know how to swim, or at least wear your life jacket. You all wear life jackets when you go out on a boat, right? Yeah. Of course you do. Yeah, well, they didn't wear life jackets, those sailors. And many of them didn't know how to swim, so a lot of them died at sea. Well, while we're up north there, let's go to Nova Scotia. You all heard this song, Farewell to Nova Scotia? It's a beautiful song. Farewell to Nova Scotia, that sea-bound coast, let your mountains dark and dreary be. When I'm far away in the briny ocean tossed, will you ever heave a sigh for me? Will you ever heave a sigh and a wish for me? The sun was setting now in the west, and the birds were singing on every tree. All nature seemed inclined to rest, but still there was no rest for me. Well, I grieve to leave my native land, I grieve to leave my comrades all, and my aged parents at home I love so dear, and the bonny, bonny lass that I do adore. Well, the drums do beat and the wars do alarm, our captain's calls we must obey. Farewell, farewell to Nova Scotia charm, for it's early in the morning far away. I have 3 brothers, they are all at rest, their arms are folded on their chests. Yet a poor simple sailor just like me must be tossed and driven out on this dark blue sea. Oh, farewell to Nova Scotia, the sea-bound coast, let your mountains dark and dreary be. For when I'm far away on the briny ocean tossed, will you ever have a sigh for a wish for me? Farewell to Nova Scotia! It's a beautiful old song. And you know, if we were going to go down to the Bahamas, near the Caribbean, you might decide you were going to pick up some of the local musical instruments. And I would like to invite the kids to play some percussion instruments. Would any of you kids like to come up and play some percussion? If you'd like to play, come and stand right here, so I know how many people want to play. Come on over if you want to play. I won't bite you. I had breakfast. I even had lunch, so I don't bite you. Okay, so you guys stay right there. Now, we're going to use a mixture of instruments you would see that sailors ran into when they traveled down to places like Puerto Rico, Cuba, Jamaica, or the Bahamas, where we're going to go for this next song. And this is an African drum that's popular in that part of the world now. So we have a tall person here. You can play that. It's called the djembe. Once you get your instrument, you turn around and face your audience. There we go. And then we're going to add some instruments that sailors might have picked up and some of the trees that grow in the tropical places. This comes off a red flowered tree that grows from Mexico all the way down into the Caribbean. And it's called a flamboyant tree with red flowers and these long seed pods. People make music with them. So who wants to do one? Take that one from me. Yeah, that's a fun one. And of course, we have all kinds of maracas. What's funny about maracas? All through Central America, from Puerto Rico to Mexico into other countries, people often will say, the maracas are from my country. The fact of the matter is, these little squash gourds that have with the hard shells, they grow all over the Caribbean, and every country has different kinds of maracas. In Jamaica, sometimes they make them out of little baby coconuts. Who's going to be my coconut player? You try that one? Yeah. And here's one for you, made out of a little squash gourd, okay? So face your audience there. And then, of course, sometimes we have maracas that are made that you can buy in a music store, like that. So we're going to get some maraca players here. And you can make your own instruments.
I'll show you a couple you can make yourself. I'll show you a couple right here. Here we go. This is just a can, but it makes a great drum. That's what a lot of people did. Anybody want to play the can? Yeah, it's fun. You hold it in your hand like that. This looks like, this one comes all the way from Brazil. We're going to go down to Brazil later and sing a song maybe in Portuguese or Spanish. This is called a tubo. And the tubo is like a tennis can with beads in it, right? It's made out of metal. You hold it like that. You could make something like that. Hold on, like a tubo. You hold it in the middle and you shake it like that. Okay, ready, let's go. Let's see what else we have. This is called the cabasa, not a kielbasa. Can't eat this one. Cabasas are like little maracas with beads wrapped around them. And typically, the African, maybe I've seen giant ones made out of big squash gourds. They have beads wrapped around them. The modern factory-made ones have metal beads. Make it a little easier. I need a couple of cabasa players, a red one and a blue one. So to see how that works, guys, you turn them like that. Now, who doesn't have an instrument? Everybody have one? Who doesn't have an instrument? Everybody have one? She has hers. Okay, I think we're ready to go. Now, is there a dad or a mom that wants to play? You want to play? Yeah, you want to play? You help the daughter along. All right. I think we're ready. All right, we're going to go do a song that everybody's probably heard. You may have heard it because some of you grew up listening to the Beach Boys. It's a sea shanty from the Bahamas. And I want to make sure we do a few familiar ones here for the adults. Well, the kids may not have heard this, so they're going to be keeping the beat for us. It's called John B. Says. The sloop John B. So the rhythm goes like this. 1, 2, 3. Okay, go ahead and start playing. 1, 2. Try to keep the beat. There you go. Oh, we come on the sloop John B. My grandfather and me. Around Nassau town we did roam. Drinking all night. Got into our fight. Well, I feel so break up, I wanna go home. Hoist up the John B. sail. Here we go. Hoist up the John B. sail. Let's help the kids out by clapping. Hoist up the John B. sail. That's it. See how the mainsail sets. Call for the captain ashore. Let me go home. Let me go home. I wanna go home. Boy, don't you let me go home. Well, I feel so break up, I wanna go home. Well, the first mate got drunk. He tore up the captain's trunk. Ready to break. Constable had to come and take him away. Oh no, Constable John, why don't you leave us alone? Well, I feel so break up, I wanna go home. Let's all sing together. Here we go now. Well, hoist up the John B. sail. Hoist them up. See how the mainsail sets. Hoist them up. Let on the captain ashore. Let me go home. Let me go home. I wanna go home. Please won't you let me go home. Well, I feel so break up. I wanna go home. Oh no, and the poor cook got the bits. Oh, and he threw away all of the grits. Then he took and he ate up all of the corn. That's a very nice cook. Please let me go home. Oh, and I wanna go home. Well, this is the worst trip I've ever been on. Last time, everybody, hoist up. Hoist up the John B. sails. Hoist them up. Send for the mainsail set. Hoist them up. Send for the captain ashore. Let me go home. Oh, yes, let me go home. Lord, I want to go home. Well, I feel so break up. I wanna go home. Oh, yes, I feel so break up. I wanna go home. Well, big hands for our band up here. Oh, yeah. I think they're doing splendidly. You know, children, you guys, I think you should do one more. I think we're going to modify the program a little bit here because you're doing such a good job. We're going to find another one that works with those instruments. And I've got one here. I think it's just the right one. As soon as I find it. This one is a bit of a funny story because it's an old Irish shanty. And this tradition, not just with the Irish, but with many sailors around the world, was if you see a mermaid, you know what's going to happen. What's going to happen if you see a mermaid? Anybody know? Well, the tradition was, if you see a mermaid, your ship might sink to the bottom of the sea. It's a bad omen. Bad luck. That's not very nice. Well, it might happen. You know, and then if these kids can play this one, you know what we're going to do? We're going to do a modern day song that everybody knows that's about a submarine. What song do you think that is? From the Beatles. From the Beatles. Yeah. But let's stick to the tradition here of sea songs first. You know, this one, called The Mermaid's, an old Irish pub song, so it makes it a forecastle song. In other words, it's not exactly something you pull ropes to. But the chorus is what everybody joins in with these kids while they're playing. The chorus goes like this. The ocean waves do roll, and the stormy winds do blow. We poor sailors go skipping down below, and the landlubbers lie down below, 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 and the landlubbers lie down below. Okay, so like the last one, if you clap along to help them with their rhythm, that would be good for the kids. Are you guys ready over here? Yeah. You have to hold that right in the middle. Like you had, yeah, and then shake it. That's it. Perfect. You got it. Makes it a little easier. All right. You guys doing okay? You all set? All right. Should we make your parents dance after this? Because you're doing all this hard work playing the instruments. All right. We'll see what happens. All right. Here's the rhythm. So let's see if you can clap along. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Keep that beat going, guys. 1, 2, 3. Well, it's Friday morning when we set sail. We were not far from the land, and our captain he spied a mermaid so fair, with a comb and a glass in her hand, and the ocean waves do roll, and the stormy winds do blow. We poor sailors go skipping from the top, while the landlubbers lie down below, below, below. The landlubbers lie down below. Well, up spoke the captain of our gallant ship, and a well-spoken man was he. Well, I have a wife back in Salem town, who tonight a widow may be. And up spoke the cook of our gallant ship, and a well-spoken man was he. Well, I care much more for me pots and my pans than I do for the bottom of the sea. Ocean waves, ocean waves do blow, and the stormy winds do roll. These poor sailors go skipping from the top, while the landlubbers lie down below, below, below. The landlubbers lie down below. Then up spoke the cabin boy of our little ship, and a well-spoken lad was he. Oh, I have no one back in Salem town who cares at all about me, the poor little lad. Well, 3 times round spun our gallant ship, 3 times round spun she, and 3 times round spun our gallant ship, and she sank to the bottom of the sea. Oh, the ocean waves, the ocean waves do roll, the stormy winds do blow. Oh, yeah, we poor sailors go skipping from the top, while the landlubbers lie down below, below, below. The landlubbers lie down below, below, below. The landlubbers lie down below. Hey, big hand for our band. One more. One last one, then you can go take a nap. Are you tired yet? So your parents said to me, "Could you make those children a little tired for me? They could use a nap." It's more like they could use a nap this afternoon. How many adults like to go home and take Saturday afternoon naps? That's a good thing. You've been working all week. You don't have a nap at all? You let your parents take a nap and not bother them when they sing? So let's sing one more. While we've got the instruments out, let's do a bit of a... Wow, she's going to town on the djembe. That's good, man. One more. You guys are doing great. And the adults are doing okay, too. All right.
But this one has a slower rhythm. So here's the beat, girls and boys. See if you can get this rhythm. It goes like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Something like that. Okay? In the town, okay. In the town where I was born, lived a man who sailed to sea. A little slower on the drum, there you go. And he told us of his life in the land of submarines. So we sailed up to the sun till we found the city of dreams, and we lived beneath the waves in our yellow submarine. Submarine, everybody! We all live in a yellow submarine. Yellow submarine. Everybody sing it now, come on. We all live in a yellow submarine. Yellow submarine. A yellow submarine. All my friends were all on board. Many more of them live next door. And the band began to play. Here they go. Oh, we all live in a yellow submarine. Yellow submarine. A yellow submarine. We all live in a yellow submarine. A yellow submarine, a yellow submarine, and we live a life of ease. Many more of us, all we need, sky of blue, sea of green, in our yellow submarine, submarine. Oh, we all live in a yellow submarine. Kids, you guys sing. Yellow submarine, a yellow submarine. We all live in a yellow submarine, a yellow submarine. Now we're going to do a fade out really softly. Ready? We all live in a yellow submarine, yellow submarine. A big hand for the band. All right. You can put your instruments down, boys and girls. All right. And if we have time, we might do one later. Thank you so much. You guys did a fantastic job. Now you can go take your nap. You're so fine. You guys really sounded great, seriously. So you get some ideas. Thank you, honey. You get some ideas about how to make your own instruments. That's what people originally did. They took a squash gourd and dried it out and left the seeds in for the maracas. Or today you can take things like cans and make drums out of them. Or put things inside and shake them. All kinds of possibilities. Well, you know, we are going to sing a song in honor of St. Patrick's Day, which just passed, an Irish sea shanty. A real, honest-to-goodness Irish shanty. This one you gotta work hard, because it's a short drag shanty, and if you remembered your lesson from before, short drag means you gotta pull really hard, fast, short pulls like that. You're working really hard. Maybe you gotta pull up a heavy anchor really fast. Okay? So you guys ready? Put your hand on the rope. And we'll do it all together. It goes like this. When I was a little lad or so, me mother told me. Your part goes like this. Way haul away, we'll haul away, Joe. That's pretty easy, right? Way haul away, we'll haul away, Joe. That if I did not kiss the girls, my lips would all grow moldy. Way haul away, we'll haul away, Joe. Oh, King Louis was the king of France before the Revolution. Way all the way, we'll haul away, Joe. But then he got his head chopped off, which spoiled his constitution. Way haul away, we'll haul away, Joe. St. Patrick was a gentleman, he came from decent people. Way haul away, we'll haul away, Joe. He built a church in Dublin town and put on it a steeple. Way haul away, we'll haul away, Joe. Well, once I was in Ireland, a-digging turf and praties. Way haul away, we'll haul away, Joe. You're doing quite good, I'd say, for a bunch of Yanks here. But now I'm on a Yankee ship, a-hauling sheeps and braces. Way haul away, we'll haul away, Joe. Oh, way haul away, we'll haul for better weather. Way haul away, we'll haul away, Joe. Oh, way haul away, we're hauling all together. Haul away, we'll haul away, Joe. Now our cook is in the galley, he's a cooking duff so handy. Way haul away, Beautiful. Oh, captain's down below, he's a-drinking gin and brandy. Way, haul away, we'll haul one more time. Way, haul away, we'll haul for better weather. Way, haul away, we'll haul away, Joe. Oh, way, haul away, now we're hauling all together. Way, haul away, we'll haul away, Joe. Hey! You did it! Oh! Now you know, when you do those rowdy songs, you're working hard, you're working up a sweat, you get tired, and then you take a little nap. If you're a sailor, you even take a nap. And maybe your mates will sing you to sleep if you're lucky. They might even sing this little song. Oh, Shenandoah, it's a shanty. It's for those slow winding ropes or for singing down below as a forecastle song. I'll sing a few verses. It's a beautiful song. Anybody so inclined to take their nap, here's your chance. Oh, Shenandoah, I long to see you. Away, you rolling river. Oh, Shenandoah, I long to see you. Away, I'm bound away, across the wide Missouri. Shenandoah, I love your daughter. Away, you rolling river. Shenandoah, I love your daughter. Away, bound away, across the wide Missouri. Shenandoah, I've been a rover. Away, you rolling river. Out to sea, my dear, oh, such a rover. Away, bound away, across the wide Missouri. Shenandoah, I'll not deceive you. Away, you rolling river. Oh, Shenandoah, I'll not deceive you. Away, we're bound away, across the wide Missouri. We could sing the song all day. There's about 12 verses, but we won't. We'll do something different. But speaking of rivers, now that song sounds like it's from the Missouri River. I was told it was a sea shanty, and it's in good standing. In all the history books about sailing, it was sung at sea. But it could have very well been a river shanty, or like a shanty, a work song of any water. Doesn't have to be from the sea. There's a very famous shanty from the Erie Canal, right over here in New York State. I bet a lot of the kids know it. You ever hear the song called the Erie Canal? Now this is a little different. You know who does the work on the Erie? Did the work on the Erie Canal, pulling those big barges, those big flat boats? The sailors on board were hauling boxes up on back and forth. But you know who pulled the boat up and down the Erie Canal? Mules. Yeah. So that's why this song is called I've Got a Mule, and her name is Sal. And then you guys go 15 miles on the Erie Canal. This is a classic American folk song now, but it was originally a shanty from the Erie Canal, a work song, or sung while they were traveling along. So you got to imagine, the Erie Canal's still there. They've dug it out and made it navigable for recreational boats all the way from Buffalo to Albany. And you go along the New York State Thruway, and you can see it there. Some of it's a river, some of it's the Erie, and then it goes all the way to the St. Lawrence. So anyway, you can go from New York City to Buffalo on the Erie Canal. And you got to imagine these big mules, big ropes, walking along the side, hauling the barges up and down. I've got a mule and her name is Sal, 15 miles on the Erie Canal. She's a good old worker and a good old pal, 15 miles on the Erie Canal. We pulled some barges in our day, filled with lumber, coal, and hay. She knows every inch of the way from Albany to Buffalo. kids, you better duck down because there's a low bridge. Duck down low. Low bridge, everybody down. Low bridge, for we're coming through a town. You'll always know your neighbor. You'll always know your pal if you've ever navigated on the Erie Canal. All right, we'll get up there, mule. Here comes the lock. 15 miles on the Erie Canal, and we'll make Rome about 6 o'clock. 15 miles on the Erie Canal. Get up there, mule, all the way back home. We'll make home to Buffalo. 12 more miles for us to go, all the way back to Buffalo. Low bridge, everybody down. Low bridge, oh, we're coming through a town. Always know your neighbor, always know your pal. If you've ever navigated on the Erie Canal, if you've ever navigated on the Erie Canal. So that's a different kind of sea song. Oh. Well, folks, I have a question for you. It's getting to be near the end. Can we do a couple more songs?
Yeah,
just,
little stick man.
What was that?
The stick man.
Oh, my little stick man. Thank you for remembering my little lumberjack. I almost forgot. Yes, thank you. I did forget because this program is not exactly an Irish dancing program, but it reminds me, I did say I was going to get your parents to do some Irish step dancing today. And, that's something the sailors did on the ships all the time. They would play spoons. Somebody played the fiddle, or the concertina, which had a little squeeze box, like a little accordion, or the mandolin, or maybe if they were lucky, they might have a big guitar. Guitars weren't used so much on the boats because they're big. So they used smaller instruments. But people did dance. So who wants to learn to do a little Irish step dancing for our sailing ship here? Who wants to learn? You want to learn? Oh, goody. Oh, great. Oh, wonderful. All right, come on. Who wants to try to stand up, please? Just stand right up if you want to try it. Are you guys all tired? You already know how to Irish step?
Oh, no, I
I'll show you.
want to learn.
Oh, I'll show you. Okay, so here what you do. Let's all face the same direction that way. Okay, good. Put your hands behind you. Now, you don't need your hands for Irish step dancing. All you have to do is point your right toe. That's this one over here. Point your toe. There you go. And now you take that toe and you cross it over to the other side and put it down like that. Good job. And put it back in front of you. Bring it back to where you started. The trick is, every time you do that, you make a wee hop on your other foot. Just a little hop like this. I'll show you. Hop, 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 hop. Let's do it together. Ready? Hop, 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 hop. And then you speed it up a little, so it's about this fast. Hop, 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 hop. Let's try it one more time. Hoppity, 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 hop. If you want to get fancy, after you do that, you switch to the other foot. And back to the other one. Perfect. Now, when you're young like you guys, when you cross your foot over like this, real Irish step dancers, they kick their foot up so high they can almost touch their ear. If I did that, I'd have to get a hip replacement or something. So that's just a little introductory step dance, and then it gets fancier from there. Now, there's many reasons why the Irish don't use their arms. There's a lot of theories. The other day I met a woman in an Irish concert I was doing. She was from Dublin. And she said, you know why they're not allowed, they don't use their hands? The Catholic Church came into Ireland and told them it was improper to do all that wild Celtic dancing. They said, keep your arms down, keep your hips still, and just use your feet. And I told that story to somebody else, and they said, no, I heard it was because it was the workers in the fields, when they came into the barn, a lot of them had to sleep in the barn because they were poor, and the barns had dirt floors. They would grab a board, put the board down, somebody would play some music, and the board was small, so it didn't have room to do much but move their feet. And the other theory I heard was that the British forbid them to move their arms. But I don't know, take your pick of which theory you think is right. Maybe they just made it up for no reason at all. But Irish step dancing is beautiful to watch. And we're going to see some right now. You ready? She doesn't want you to dance. Don't worry, those of you who aren't dancing. My little dancing fellow will dance for you after. Okay. So, you had to help with these guys. The jig has 3 beats. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. You clap on the 1 beat. The Irish jig was very popular in sailing. There's a lot of sailing songs that have that rhythm. Okay. So, clap, 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 clap. Dancers, ready, set, go!
And the sailors were no exceptions to take these on their ships because not everybody played instruments, but these are musical instruments and they're a little easier to play than the fiddle or mandolin or anything. You don't have to practice as much. And if you weren't so musically inclined, you could take a lumberjack and you could have him dance on the board, and that keeps the beat, and then sing some songs with him. And this little fellow here, he has a reputation for being quite the Irish wanderer. He used to be a little leprechaun who turned into a horse. But he gets a little petrified because he's made out of petrified wood. Well, anyway, so this is a little song for him. I'll sing a wee bit of a song that he likes a lot. Oh, I am a little beggar man, a beggar like a man, who's struggling over another story like a Jew. And the man is down the street, and I'm nothing but a name of old Johnny Jew. Well, the church is going now, begging is the best. When a man is tired, they can lay down and rest. They started doing but there's nothing else to do. Only got on the corner and it's all they can do. Oh, it's up in a barn, and down by a bog. Went to bed at dusk, up to the dawn. There's another rope that are in coming through, and the cats and the rats, they were playing peekaboo. Who should have wakened up the woman of the house with her white spotted apron and a cow gobble out? I began to frighten her, she said, "Boo, I don't want to be afraid, and it's only young do." Oh, will it feel with a pack on my back? Oh, will it feel with a very heavy sack? Oh, will it feel with my toes, singing and feeling like it's only young do. Must have gone to bed for it, getting lit at night. The fire's all right, and out goes the light. My story is my old brigadoo, so good night, you got me midgets, said old Johnny do. Thump, 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 thump. There we go.
So you have to imagine, sometime in the early America, the early Irish American concerts, some people would come and the kids would have these grandparents would carve them in the shape of all kinds of animals as well as people. And the kids could join the band and become part of the percussion section while their parents and bigger brothers and sisters did clogging or square dancing or Irish step dancing. So the
lumberjack is a useful little fellow here.
Did you have a comment, sir?
He wasn't keeping his hands by his sides.
I noticed that. Well, that's because he's so old. He was in Ireland before the Catholics. He wasn't. Plus, he's very hard of hearing because he has his little wooden ears. So he never heard the instructions. So we have to wind it up here. Oh boy, I wish we could sing all day, but yeah, that clock is right. We've been singing for over an hour. But I would like to sing a little piece of a song, an American song and then we'll do an ending song in honor of the Titanic. Remember the Titanic? Now, that sailing ship was one of the biggest disasters at sea that ever was. Now, there's a funny song about the Titanic that people sing as a camp song, which never made sense to me because it was a tragedy. But then there was a song written by a guy named Huddie Ledbetter, who wrote the same person who wrote Irene Goodnight. He was an African-American folk singer back in the ship the accident happened around 1912, I think. He wrote this song a couple years later. But he wrote it because the ship was discriminated. People on the ship who were allowed on were the well-to-do mostly, and poor people and people of color were not allowed on the ship, so they were lucky. That's what this song is about. It was I'm just taking a good key for everybody here. See if you know this. It was midnight on the sea. The band was playing Near My God to Thee. And you go like this. Fare thee well, Titanic, fare thee well. Yes, it was midnight on the sea. The band was playing Near My God to Thee. Oh, fare thee well, Titanic, fare thee well. So when you sing Fare thee well, Titanic, fare thee well, that's a part that's for everybody. When Jack Johnson tried to get on board. Now, Jack Johnson was a famous black boxer. But he had a lot of money, but he was black. When Jack Johnson tried to get on board, the men yelled, we ain't hauling no coal. Oh, fare thee well, Titanic, fare thee well. Oh, when Jack Johnson tried to get on board, the men held, we ain't hauling no coal. Oh, fare thee well, Titanic, fare thee well. Well, she was coming around that curve when she ran into a big iceberg. Fare thee well, Titanic, fare thee well. Well, he came around that curve, Lord, she ran into a big iceberg. Yeah, fare thee well, Titanic, fare thee well. Well, Titanic was sinking down, they had lifeboats all around. Fare thee well, Titanic, fare thee well. Yes, Titanic was a sinking down. They had lifeboats all around. Fare thee midnight on the sea, the band's playing nearer, my God, to thee. Fare thee well, Titanic, fare thee well. It was a midnight on the sea, the band was playing nearer, my God, to thee. Fare thee well, Titanic, fare thee well. Oh, fare thee well, Titanic, fare thee well. Part of the story of the Titanic. You know, there's a tradition, we don't have time to go explore this song, but there's a tradition called if your ship goes down, you're going off to Fiddler's Green. It's a sailing tradition. Fiddler's Green, I'll just say a few of the verses. In Fiddler's Green, for example, when you go to Fiddler's Green, it's a place I've heard tell, where a sailormen go if they don't go to hell, where the weather is fair and the dolphins do play, and the cold coast of Greenland is far, far away, where the skies are all clear, never a gale, and the fish jump on board with a swish of their tails, and you lie in your leisure, there's no work to do, and the skipper's below making tea for the crew. And so that song is often sung as a hope that if you do go down at sea, you go to Fiddler's Green, which is sailor's heaven. Sailor's heaven. So we're going to end with a song, a New England song. I have to skip over a lot of these beautiful songs because I don't want to make you sit here all day, but I do appreciate your staying so long. And this last song talks about those. I think it does go back to the days of the whalers, but it's for anybody who's been out on a sailboat or any kind of boat. The big old clipper ships with those big ships are called. But today we have smaller versions. Anybody been on a sailboat? Who's been sailing around here? So you know when you're coming back to harbor, it feels kind of nice. It's exciting to go out, but then it feels good to be coming home. So imagine you've been out for months, weeks and months on a boat, and you're missing your family and friends. And you might sing this song. Thank you again for joining me. Thank you again to the library for having me and for all of you for coming here. Up aloft and in the rigging blows a wild and rushing gale, like a monsoon in the springtime, filling out each well-known sail. You'll find it easy to sing. Here we go. It's rolling on. You can echo back if you want. Rolling on, rolling on, rolling on, rolling on, rolling on across the sea, rolling home to old New England. Rolling home, dear land, to thee. Now remember what I said about some of those shanties that the Americans took, like Cape Cod Girls, took it from the English? Guess what this was originally called? Rolling Home to Old England. The Yankee Wellerman just changed it around a little bit. And the waves we leave behind us seem to murmur as they rise. We have tarried here to bear us o'er the land we dearly prize. Here we go. Rolling home, rolling home, rolling home across the sea, rolling home to old New England, rolling home, dear land, to thee. A full 10,000 miles behind us, and 1,000 miles before. Ancient ocean waves to waft us to our well-remembered shore. Rolling home, rolling home, rolling home, rolling home across the sea, rolling home to old New England, rolling home, dear land, to thee. Newborn breezes swell to send us to our childhood's welcome skies. to the glow of friendly faces and the smile of loving eyes. Here we go. Rolling home, rolling home, rolling home across the sea, rolling home to old New England, rolling home, dear land, to thee, rolling home, rolling home, rolling home across the sea, rolling home to old New England, rolling home, dear land, to thee. Thank you, folks. Thank you for all your singing. And thank you, and all the instrument playing by our friends in the front here. All the kids did a great job. And most importantly, read the books. They're all very interesting. I've been looking into them ever since the program got arranged because they have a whole collection of them. Is there anything else, last information you want to share?
Yes.